Hey guys, it's Eric here at Farpoint Farms. Check it out. Vevor finally getting into the toolbox game. A day I've been waiting for. As a mechanic of over 30 years, which is more depressing than I care to admit, I have an affinity for toolboxes, and I have been asking them for a while if they plan to get in on it. Now this is their smallest offering. They say there'll be more, although with current events, that may never take place. What it is a 2-drawer toolbox that you assemble like a roll cart, very similar to the Harbor Freight roll carts. Alrighty, all right. So already I'm kind of digging it. I'm just gonna cut the whole box open so we can dump it out. The finish is like a brush. It reminds me of the original Series 1 Harbor Freight toolboxes. They were red and had like a crinkle coat, if that makes sense. That appears to be what we have here. Durable finish, not a high gloss. And we're gonna have some assembly out, no doubt, right? So here is our bottom piece. I'll get the camera closer and show you all this when we're done getting everything assembled, but it's kind of hard to describe it. It's a textured feel to it. It's not smooth at all, so you won't have stuff rolling around while you move one of these. And of course, like everything, a lot of assembly required. These would be our legs, or our frame, I should say. And then these are like support piece here. I'll tell you what, I'm just gonna get everything out of the box and we will take it from there. All right, here we are. And I'm just gonna, I will say a lot of pieces, but nuts and bolts wise, certainly not the worst I've seen. And I have seen quite a bit at this point in my YouTube career. Vevor tool cart model is T271802. And it's a 2-drawer. They do make one that's a 1-drawer, but it's also got 2 shelves in there as well. One thing I like about this already is, and some mechanics love this, some mechanics don't, is it doesn't have a flip-up locking top. That I'm cool with. I don't really like that look. Harbor Freight's, Snap-on, everybody I can think of. I had a Matco one for a long time. They all seem to have that going for them. And I'm just not a big fan of that look. I don't know why. I'd rather have an open space I can dump stuff in, don't have to worry about how big or small it is to lock the box. Where on a Harbor Freight, you have to be able to close the lid. Snap-on, you have to be able to close the lid in order to lock the box completely. This, you can lock the drawers, leave the top open for whatever. So I guess it's really a matter of what you're going to be using it for, but for me anyway, kind of neat. Okay, it does come with a single wrench, but I doubt I'm going to be using that. Let's go ahead and start with one, and that is attaching our wheels here. 2 of them are swivel, 2 of them are not. I wish they were all swivel. That would be the only thing I can see so far that I'm like, oh, bummer. It says step 1, turn this thing over, and you're going to install the casters as shown. All right, let's do it. So you have a box of bigger nuts and bolts. That's going to be our legs. And we do want to make sure that we put both of our swivel ones on the same side. You wouldn't want to crisscross them. So none of these are self-tapping. I built a shelving unit for the studio a couple months back, and I didn't really like that. In the end, the thing was actually really stable and really kind of nice. I like it up there, but putting it together, everything was self-tapping screws, and that just seemed like such a recipe for disaster. But I guess as it all went into place, it added its own rigidity to it. That being said, I prefer this style where we have studs located for our bolts to go through, or not studs, but like molly, so you have threaded nuts on there. I guess on a larger gauge of steel, you probably just have a welded nut, but this one here, they just kind of rivet in threaded pieces. All right, and there's our bottom right there. So let's see what else we got to do here. If I remember Harbor Freight one, you build from the bottom up. Yeah, okay. So step number 2, turn over bottom, put cashers on the ground, assemble the uprights, which are these. Which are these. And there's 4 of those we're going to put together, and we're going to bolt those on. And it says to put the bolts in there, but not too tight, because we're going to slide the second shelf down on it. So let me go ahead and do that. Those are going to be the smaller screws here. In fact, the rest of this job, it's all smaller stuff here like this. I'll pour it out here, show you. Phillips on one end, Phillips on one end, and it looks like a 10 on the other, 10 nut to hold it together. Each one of these has 2, so it's going to take a little bit of time. You'll also notice, maybe you can't see it, I'll have to zoom in here a little bit, but the bottom has 2 holes to line up with the 2 holes. The question is, does it go? It goes on the outside, so each of these is going to go on these outside corners and bolt into place. So you'll need a Phillips, which is not included in the kit, and a 10 mil, which I don't think is included in the kit. It just came with 1 wrench. It looks to me like a 13 and a 14 and a 12 that came with it. But I'll start getting these assembled, and then we'll move on to the next step. These builds like this sometimes look daunting, but usually they're really not. They're actually kind of therapeutically fun, because you know, it's like watching something go together. Any build project, for me anyway. I don't know, maybe you guys can chime in the comment section, but for me, anything that is a kit that gets assembled just feels the satisfaction of when it's done, and taking a look at that final product and seeing how well it came out always interests me. All right, well, floppy, but installed, did not tighten anything on the bottom. And it's saying for step 3, put the middle shelf in as shown, and it goes with the tray facing up. So we want to hold it like so that stuff doesn't roll off of it. It's pretty smart. All right, I'm going to move my nuts and bolts up. And this is going to be a little trickier because I'm all alone here right now. So I'll have to hold it in place while I tighten 2 corners anyway. So let's see if I can do this one-handed with the camera going. All right. I think I can, so I can. The simplest hack to life, isn't it? If you think you can, you can. If you think you can't, you can't. Luckily, individually, none of these pieces are terribly heavy. So if you're like me and you have to do this solo, you're not looking at wearing yourself out trying to do this. Here it is, like 8:40 in the morning, I'm putting this thing together. I got a whole lot of other stuff to do today, and I don't want to gas myself out putting something together that's supposed to be fun. It also does come with, I didn't mention this in the beginning, but it has these nice mats. So they're all stacked in here for the drawers and for everything else. So when we get this thing fully assembled and tightened down, can transfer all these mats to all the individual drawers. Should offer another layer of protection for the paint. Although I gotta say, like, paint quality, I'll show it when I get up to show you the rest of this build. The paint quality on this is a lot better. I did a Tuffium, T-U-F-F-O-U-M or something. I can't remember exactly how it was spelt or pronounced, but Tuffium, I think it was. I have a cart that I use religiously from them. Really small cart, really like it. But paint on that thing was atrocious from the factory floor, and the build quality in general. The drawer stopped working here, so this does appear to be a superior product so far. Gauge of steel is about the same, I would say, which is standard. Just, you know, they have the issue with being able to make something light enough and that people can afford to ship it, but also heavy duty enough that it will hold up as a professional tool cart. So I think, all things considered, they nailed it with this. And again, right now this kind of looks floppy, but it's because nothing is tight and everything is still in a state of limbo as far as construction goes. It's usually the case right up until the very end on whenever you're building stuff like this. Like when I was making the studio, I got some IKEA bookshelves. You'll see them in the back of all the videos I do on radios and up there. Those things, man, I was putting those together. I thought for sure they would just fall over, but they hang in there. They're actually, once you get that last nut and bolt in place, the rigidity really does show up. It's crazy. All right. So far, they're hitting it with just the right amount of nuts and bolts, so they're Quality control has gone up for Vevor products quite a bit over the years. I'll give them that. It used to be that it wasn't too terribly unusual. At least I think I had it once with one product I got from them where it was missing a component, parts, you know, like nuts and bolts. And I've heard from several of you over the years that that has happened as well. But I would say that in the last 12 months, that has not happened, and I don't get those comments anymore. So I guess Vevor has really upped their quality control game when it comes to the stuff they sell, the stuff that they market. Okay, next up we are going to install our 2 slides, and that are these right here. And I just want to make sure that I'm getting this right. These are going to go to the inside and bolt here. Lots of rigidity. So these also have through holes that will help us determine, like the nuts go in there. So we'll just need a Phillips head to tighten those down when the time comes. And they get tightened from different sides too. So you're really tying everything in at this point. Whole bolts here and on the back. So that I can just tell you now, that's probably where all that rigidity is going to finally make its appearance. And you don't want to tighten any of this stuff down all the way while I'm putting this together, because then you're going to find it harder to line up your bolt holes. So once everything's in place, that's usually when they tell you and when I recommend going back around and tidying up everything. Here are my keys for my locking drawers. Nice of them to tuck those in there so they wouldn't disappear on us. And then we'll install this side as well. Same process. Pieces on, you can see she's still flimsy right now, right? It's saying to leave the bottom pieces off here, and I'm gonna have to remove 1 or 2 of these, but we're gonna be taking this thing, and this kind of sits on top, goes over and attaches between the tops here and the bottom. So I'm gonna remove, thankfully these are just finger tight, but remove the bottoms. Again, all this is rigidity, and a lot of it. But this is really coming along very quickly. I'm about, in real time anyway, maybe 20, 30 minutes, and I am taking my time. I've already had to remove the bolt once because I did goof up on that, and I put the I put it all together. I put the bolts in there and didn't realize that I had to have my handle. And a handle is something like this. I'm not sure I'm going to keep the handle. Honestly, it adds just an extra inch or so of space that it takes up on the wall or in a shop. And for people like myself that are trying to cram in a lot of professional equipment, that little amount of space can actually add up real quick. I've got a lot of things where I've taken parts off of it to try to get the most use out of the space that I have here. Same thing on this side. It's got a little lip, and you'll see the holes here. They're to overlap the bottom, like so. All right, so once again, I'm going to have to take out some of the screws that I put in to slide this down into place. And this slides down in and interlocks between the 2 halves. There we go, just like so. That's giving us a lot of rigidity on the side to side. This is also where our drawers are going to mount in here as well. I will say again, leaving everything loose, everything's lining up. Everything is going into place. I haven't had to modify the designs. And this piece down here does the same from underneath. We're going to bring it up. You can see how it locks in right there. Okay, with those installed, turn this back around and we have a back piece. Again, that's going to add more rigidity. And I know we're getting towards the end of it because we're running out of nuts and bolts, which is a good sign. That is this piece here. And this is our back here. This is going to go here. Again, adding a rigidity to the back drawers and making sure that nothing moves around. Let me take out these screws here. We've got, I put the top ones in on this side, not the bottom. I wasn't sure. The instructions probably said it, but I was in such a rush to do fun things that I just gave up on reading. All of a sudden, she doesn't want to rock back and forth as much. The second I tied this one in, it gave it side-to-side stability. Nicely done here. And it's almost time to tighten everything down. I'll do that before I put the final drawers into place. Okay, there it is. We've got that in there. We're ready to put our top on now. Top has riveted nuts in here. Should be able to slide this down onto it. Wow, that is nice. And our last nuts get screwed up through the bottom here. Oh, I'm sorry, come through the side here. Okay, yeah, they give us a hole there. All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4 bolts are left, and 1, 2, 3, 4 holes are left. So we are right where we need to be. These go through the side here, and once those are in, we can finally tighten down the rest of the stuff we have here. All right, with everything assembled, I'll do this off camera here, but I'm going to go ahead and tighten everything down because the last step of this is simply to install our drawers. All right, there we go. Getting down to it. So we got some mats. I'm going to go ahead and lay those mats out now. That would probably be a drawer mat. That would be a drawer mat. And this would be our top mat. Nice. And then we're going to slide our drawers in here. And I will say they're a good size, like they're just deep enough to really hold just about anything you want. Another thing, the Tuffion cart, which is slightly smaller than this one, did not have going for it. Here's one drawer. That's it, my friends. That was not hard at all. Awesome. Well, let me get the camera off the tripod here and we'll take a walk around it. I'll show you what you get. All right, well, here it is, and I like it. So, 2 casters that turn and 2 casters that just roll. And you can see here, finish on it. I wish there was a way to show it in a way that you would be able to feel-o-vision this thing, but like a rough cut. You do have room down here for screwdrivers. You do have the pegboard, again, if you choose to use it for that. Drawers are good size, and they have a nice strong detent, as you see there. Right, so they'll go in there, and then they kind of lock into place. So, I mean, it is a roll cart, so you don't want that thing just kind of flopping around. So it kind of has that snap to lock. Upper shelf, a little narrow, but good for holding stuff. Bottom shelf, lots of room for blow molded cases, things like that. And then drawer liner, of course, here. And that's I can't really pull it up at this point, but pretty thick, pretty spongy. I like that. I think that'll do just fine. There it is, tool cart T271802. The little handle here. I'd say it rolls pretty well empty anyway. So I'm comparing it to compared to this Tuffion here, if I could squeeze it out of here. There you go. This cart is like a real basic cart. You can see it's slightly narrower, only has the 1 drawer. This one's definitely a step up from that. Now, I have a Harbor Freight cart as well, but I don't have it down here in the shop. I have it up in the studio right now because we were doing some work getting air conditioning up there for the summertime. You can see here this drawer doesn't work anymore. So that was kind of a weak point right out of the gate. Assembly wise though, they're not all that different. I do feel like this one is more significant than that one there, and the finish on this one is much better. I'll leave a link to where you can get one of these things, and honestly, not a bad deal for the money. Till next time, take care.